Hey Sifu, I actually recently was looking up a lot of articles, and I know we're filming, and I just wanted to take this kind of intimate moment to address this where, I'm making a lot more money now, and I see so many articles and advice online, and I just wanted to know, from your perspective, when you were younger and you were kind of in my position, in my age,
Right.
What are some of the kind of money mistakes that you wish you would have known that I could look out for, or the audience could look out for, and things like that?
Good question. I think there's so many mistakes young people make, and because they think they have time and they think money is not taught in school.
Yeah.
So when they first make a little bit more money, they get the first paycheck, and then just like when you get a first paycheck, you're not so sure what to do, especially as you work harder. Maybe you rise up and you make more. Right now you're smarter. So I think first mistake is paying interest on credit card debts. So some people, they talk about make sure you don't get a credit card. I don't think you should not get a credit card, because a credit card builds up your credit score. In the future, when you want to buy a house, when you want to buy a car, you need your credit score. So it's not so much about cutting off your credit card or never use credit card, always use debit. No, use credit card, but just make sure you pay off that balance every single month. Because when you're paying that 18 or 20% interest rate, it may not seem like a big deal, but when you're not saving money and you are paying interest rate on 18-20%, that's a big deal. So pay off that balance every month, and then get a credit card. But get one. Do your research. There's so many credit cards out there where you accumulate points. Some of them give you cash back. Some of them you can do different shopping.
I think sometimes it's you get like 5 times points for flights.
That's
and
right.
Things like that.
That's right. But don't get sucked into it. I'm gonna get a credit card because I get all these points. But do your research. If you like to travel, get one that's like very advantageous when it comes to travel points. But if not, then like example for me, a lot of expenses I run through my corporate card. If you have a business, you can get a corporate credit card, so you can accumulate points and you can use that to buy things or to book hotels and travel, things like that. So that's mistake number one. Number two is young people, I see this a lot. They try to impress other people, right? So they buy stuff. I did that.
I probably would.
Yeah,
do that once or twice.
Right? You buy stuff to impress people that you don't even like. You don't really care. But because I want to look a certain way, I want to drive a nicer car, then you get into the habit of buying things you can't afford, right? Maybe your earning only allows you to buy a car that you're comfortable with, $300 a month car payment. But I want that cool car. I want to be cool. So you get the sport car.
Drive
right?
on the highway. People look at you.
They think they'll attract girls that way, right? They think. By the way, that's all like marketing, right? No girl's gonna come up to you and say, "Oh, you're so cool. What car is that?" Like, unless you drive maybe something like extremely luxurious.
And then you got to think if that's the girl you want.
Yeah, that's not even the girl. That's you see these pranks on YouTube, like the gold digger prank, right? So I don't recommend that. So don't get into debt and buy stuff that maybe you don't really need, right? So that's mistake number two. Third mistake is not just a money mistake, but also a time mistake. Because young people, just like myself, when I was younger, we would spend time on playing video games, right? And you would spend a lot of time watching, like following sports, right? Watching this game and that game. And before you know it, you're wasting a lot of time. Instead of using that time to improve yourself. Because when you're 20 years old, you don't think about 30, 40, 50 years, right? When you're 50, when you're 55, but I'm telling you, it feels like yesterday I was 21. And a blink of an eye, you're now like 30. A blink of an eye, you're like 40. Time passes by so fast, and you would wish that, hey, you know what? If I didn't waste their time doing all those super things. And I'm not saying don't play game. I mean, I've got a PS4 and Xbox, right? I play it from, I don't know, a couple times a month. You just don't want to do 3 hours of gaming every day. Unless you're a streamer, that's how you're making your money, then you know what? no problem with that.
I think it's mostly the mobile games too. That's what really gets you. The mobile games, it's like, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here.
And especially those mobile games where you gotta buy more coins.
The microtransactions.
Oh, microtransactions.
You know it,
right? Where, hey, they hook you in with free game. Before you know it, you're spending hundreds of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
There was a game that I bought, which is the Chinese game, like a Three Kingdoms, like a strategy game, free download. Before you know it, I was blowing hundreds and hundreds of dollars, right? It's stupid, right? And that money is something that you could use towards educating yourself, not just formal education, but self-education, reading books, taking online courses, or even going to events or learning from someone who's successful, right? That would be mistake number 3. And I would say mistake number 4 is leaning on your parents too much. Where you see kids, teenagers, that the parents work very hard, pay for the education, giving them a home to live in, maybe the basement, things like that. And you notice they mature a little bit later, right? It took them a little bit longer time. They kind of live in this bubble because the parents are too protective, especially from Asia, right? Asian parents, India, China, Taiwan, they're protective versus kind of pushing them out there and say, hey, you got to figure this out on your own. So then you can see even like 24, 25, especially guys. Girls, like they mature a little bit earlier, but guys, you can see at the age of 28, 27, they still behave like 18 because they live in this bubble. So leaning on the parents too much. One of the worst thing, but also the greatest thing that ever happened to me is when I was 16, my mom and dad got divorced, and when I was 17, my dad went bankrupt. If my dad didn't go bankrupt, because I have allowance coming in, I wasn't thinking about money, wasn't thinking about becoming successful. But because of that happened, it forced me to do that. Not pleasant, right? I don't recommend it for everybody, but it was one of the greatest things that ever happened. That was a turning point for me.
It's like that adversity that helps you.
Yeah. I remember you shared with me your story, same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What drives you?
So for me, when I was younger, like my mom, when we were super young, my mom had me when she was very young. And my grandfather actually kicked my mom out of the house, and she said, he said, look, if you want to either take care of Gabe or go out and party, like we're not going to support you party, so do you care about your son? And then he always says like it was very tough for him to, kick my mom out the house, and he was always watching her from the car and things like that. But there was a period, like I remember we definitely like lived on the street and for like a small period, and then like just like the poor housing and things like that. And always when I'm working and like I have to grind it out sometimes or stay up late, it's always that memory of like my mom could do it and like she went through so much. It's a little bit of like I don't want to let her down either. It's like all of that kind of amalgamated into the inner drive.
And yeah, that's why you're so driven, because you've seen that.
Yeah.
Right? But if your family is okay and everything is kind of okay, then you will not be as driven naturally for most human beings, right? So I think that would be mistake number 4.
And I think you also see that as well with older children.
Yeah.
So like I'm the firstborn of my family,
Yeah.
and there was no like, oh, you get picked up from school. It's like you walk, you do everything by yourself. And then my youngest brother, he's like 15, and
you learn
it's like
self-reliance.
boom.
Yeah, you make it happen. You want something, you gotta go get it.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of those early programming, it was programmed at a very young age, how shape who you are, right? So, and then mistake number 5, it would be not having financial goals.
Interesting.
So we have a lot of different set goals, but you talk to most young people, what are your financial goals? The most they could tell you, I want to make X. That's the most. But they don't have any saving goals. How much you want to save by the age of 25? How much you want to save by the age of 28, 30, right? I don't know.
I don't even think I have.
Yeah, so saving goal, right?
Saving goal.
Yeah, investment goal. So maybe a goal where you want to save up this much money. I want to buy my first, stock, right? Invest my first fund or buy my first investment property, whatever it might be. So investment goal, right? That's pretty important. So you got to have your income goal, your saving goal, your investment goal. But most people, or I want to be able to get to a point where I want to, maybe in the beginning, you're putting aside 10% of your income. I want to get to a point in 5 years, I want to get to a point where I'm putting away 50% of my income. I'm only spending 50%. So that's like a percentage goal. But most people don't have that. and they just kind of like, oh yeah, all they think about just making more,
Yep.
which is good with your skill sets, but you also need to have financial goals. So those I would say are the top money mistakes to avoid in your 20s, maybe even in your 30s. Maybe even in your 30s.
Got it. Thank you, Sifu.
Yeah, welcome.